In the mind's vast depths, where secrets hide and bide, lies the free energy principle, an unyielding tide. A dirac sea of thought, where dark and light reside, in life's intricate triad, these forces collide. Predictions swim like fish in the mind's deep blue. Perceptions like waves, a constantly shifting view. Actions rise as currents, strong and ever true. In this thought ocean we find clues subtle and new. Particles of hope shimmer in depths unseen. Anti-particles of doubt in spaces in between. In this balance, a dance of heart and mind, so keen, where love and logic intertwine, unseen. In this dirac sea of thought, where emotions chart, life's triad emerges, a living, breathing art. The free energy principle, a guiding light so smart, navigating unknown depths in night and day's heart.
Beliefs, although apparently simple on the surface, are complex constructs underpinned by multiple influences and mechanisms. Our understanding of them is shaped by the paradigms of the free energy principle, or FEP, Gestalt psychology, network theory, and cognitive psychology. The free energy principle, FEP, underscores beliefs as reflective of our most reliable predictions about the world. Our brain, in its quest to minimize uncertainty, fine-tunes these predictions with a plethora of sensory inputs. As these predictions get more and more confirmed, they solidify into beliefs, guiding and shaping our interactions with the world. Globetrotters, for instance, increasingly trust their innate compass the more they navigate unfamiliar terrains. Their repeated success in reaching the correct destination refines their belief in their direction-finding abilities. Simultaneously, just as inductive reasoning builds these beliefs, deductive reasoning, driven by more substantial sensory evidence, can question or alter these beliefs. Gestalt psychology offers the idea that beliefs are not just individual cognitive components, but they're parts of an organized whole. They interact and connect, constructing more significant cognitive maps that provide us order amid perceived chaos. Just like a scenic landscape where individual elements culminate into a harmonious panoramic view, our various beliefs weave a meaningful cognitive tapestry. A strong belief in fitness might spark auxiliary beliefs in specific diets, the importance of sleep, and the benefit of regular exercise. Thus, the belief is not an isolated piece of information. It becomes part of your more extensive knowledge of health and well-being. Network theory views beliefs as central nodes around which our cognitive network orbits. Every node or belief system interlinks with numerous other cognitive elements. Thoughts, memories, knowledge pieces. This interlinking of nodes forms a comprehensive cognitive network reflecting our belief systems. Repeated activation strengthens these linkages. Therefore, the stronger your belief, the more it gets confirmed through your experiences, and the more these neuronal linkages strengthen, aligning your cognitive, neural, and actual realities closer together. Cognitive psychology wraps these revelations within the understanding of schemas, cognitive structures that help organize and categorize our experiences. They act like mental molds in which we pour our knowledge, forming set pieces of information that guide our understanding and interpretation of the world around us. These schemas, laden with past experiences and cultural nuances, offer an internal framework that deciphers the external reality, molding our belief systems.
Perceptions like waves in constant ebb and flow, actions, tides that rise and fall high and low, predictions, currents that guide us where to go. In this mind's sea they play, they glow. Negated thoughts in shadowed depths lie in wait, in heart's hidden chambers, where light seldom dictates. Yet in this dance, love becomes our fate, turning the tide where mind's sea navigates. In this dirac sea, where dark and light partake, where the free energy principle our journey does make, in existence's sea, a quest for truth's sake, where we seek rest for our own heart's sake.
Consciousness, an intricate and multifaceted phenomenon, encompasses the full spectrum of human experience, from sensory perception to self-awareness. At its core, consciousness involves the interplay of various cognitive, emotional, and perceptual processes that collectively shape our understanding of the world and ourselves. To unravel the complexities of consciousness, we can employ a triadic approach, examining how distinct but interrelated components interact within logical frameworks. This methodology not only illuminates the dynamic relationships between these components, but also provides a structured way to explore the intricacies of sentient experience. In this analysis, we identify key components of consciousness and organize them into triads that reflect specific types of logical dependencies. Each triad encapsulates a unique aspect of conscious experience, showcasing how these elements coexist, reinforce each other, or drive causal relationships. By dissecting these relationships, we gain a deeper understanding of how consciousness functions as an integrated system. Sensory perception involves receiving information from the environment through the senses. This sensory input triggers emotional responses, which are immediate reactions that involve feelings. For example, seeing a beautiful sunset might elicit feelings of awe and happiness. These emotional responses, in turn, influence cognitive processing, which is the mental activity involved in understanding, reasoning, and thinking. Cognitive processing helps to make sense of the sensory input and emotional reactions, forming memories and shaping how future sensory information will be interpreted. The three components are tightly interconnected. Sensory perception provides the raw data, emotional responses color these perceptions with significance, and cognitive processing integrates and interprets these experiences, creating a balanced and interdependent system. Curiosity is the driving force that motivates individuals to seek new information and experiences. When curiosity is piqued, it leads to exploration, which is the active pursuit of discovering new things. This exploration can take many forms, such as reading, experimenting, or observing the world. Through exploration, individuals gain knowledge, which is the accumulation of information and understanding about various subjects. This newfound knowledge then reinforces curiosity, as learning often reveals new questions and areas to explore. This creates a reinforcing loop where curiosity leads to exploration, exploration results in knowledge, and knowledge fuels further curiosity, promoting a continuous cycle of learning and discovery. Attention is the focused mental engagement on specific stimuli or tasks. When attention is directed towards a particular subject or activity, it facilitates learning, which is the process of acquiring new knowledge or skills. Effective learning requires sustained attention to absorb and process information thoroughly. As learning progresses and becomes more profound, it leads to skill mastery, which is achieving a high level of proficiency and competence in a particular area. This mastery is the culmination of focused attention and dedicated learning. If attention is absent, learning cannot occur effectively, and without learning, skill mastery cannot be achieved. Thus, attention causally drives learning, and learning causally leads to skill mastery, with the absence of attention preventing the attainment of mastery. Imagination is the ability to envision new ideas, concepts, or scenarios that are not immediately present to the senses. This creative thinking often serves as the starting point for problem solving, which involves finding solutions to complex or challenging issues. Through imaginative thinking, individuals can explore various possibilities and approaches to addressing a problem. Once a problem is solved, the solutions and methods developed through this process often lead to innovation, which is the application of new and creative ideas in practical ways. Innovation can further stimulate imagination by presenting new challenges and opportunities for creative thinking. This non-linear relationship means that while imagination leads to problem solving, which results in innovation, the process is dynamic and cyclical, with each component influencing and enhancing the others. Experience refers to the practical contact with and observation of events and phenomena in the world. These experiences provide the raw material for reflection, which is the thoughtful consideration and analysis of past events and actions. Through reflection, individuals can gain insights and understand the implications of their experiences, learning from them in the process. This reflective practice leads to personal growth, which involves the continuous development and improvement of oneself. Personal growth is inclusive in nature because it encompasses both the experiences and the reflective insights gained from them. As individuals grow, they are better equipped to have new experiences and reflect on them more deeply, creating a cycle of ongoing development where experience leads to reflection. Reflection leads to personal growth, and personal growth enhances both experience and reflection. Social interaction is the process by which individuals act and react in relation to others, forming connections and building relationships. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, plays a crucial role in facilitating meaningful social interactions. When people interact socially with empathy, they are more likely to form strong, supportive connections. Communication, the exchange of information and ideas, is another essential component of social interaction. Effective communication requires empathy to understand others' perspectives and convey messages in a way that resonates with them. Together, these components create a conjoined system where empathy enhances both social interaction and communication. Social interaction fosters empathy, and communication is enriched by empathetic understanding, leading to more effective and harmonious interactions. Reason is the power of the mind to think, understand, and form judgments logically. Emotion is the complex psychological state that involves feelings, mood, and affective responses. Intuition is the ability to understand or know something instinctively without the need for conscious reasoning. These components work harmoniously together. Reason and emotion both inform intuition, providing a balanced approach to decision-making and understanding. For example, when making a decision, reason provides logical analysis. Emotion offers a sense of what feels right, and intuition integrates these inputs to arrive at a conclusion that feels both rational and emotionally satisfying. This harmonic relationship ensures that decisions and actions are well-rounded and considerate of both logical and emotional aspects, with each component enhancing and balancing the others. Concentration is the focused attention on a specific task or thought, enabling deep engagement and productivity. Meditation is the practice of mindfulness or focused contemplation, often aimed at achieving mental clarity and relaxation. Inner peace is the state of being mentally and spiritually at peace, with a sense of harmony and tranquility. These components converge to create a state of mental well-being. Concentration allows for effective meditation. Meditation fosters a sense of inner peace, and inner peace enhances the ability to concentrate. Through regular meditation, individuals can improve their concentration, leading to deeper states of inner peace. This convergent relationship means that each component supports and strengthens the others, contributing to overall mental and emotional well-being.
Here thoughts and emotions in union blend, a journey of self with many a twist and bend. Love and understanding, keys that transcend. In our beings see, they open paths without end. So sail we must, the dirac sea with eyes unblind, where heart and mind beneath celestial skies are twined. In life's triad, a path we seek and find, in the free energy principle, a heart's bind.
In the realm of theoretical physics, the dirac sea offers an intriguing model of the vacuum. Conceived by Paul Dirac, this concept envisions the vacuum not as a mere empty space, but as an infinite ocean of particles imbued with negative energy. When these particles are nudged into positive energy states, they leave behind vacancies or holes that we perceive as positrons, the antimatter counterparts of electrons. This conception reframes our understanding of the vacuum, transforming it from a void into a fertile ground brimming with latent potential, redefining emptiness as a source of endless possibilities. From a philosophical perspective, Buddhism introduces sunyata, the concept of emptiness. Contrary to a superficial interpretation as void or nothingness, sunyata emphasizes the absence of intrinsic, independent existence in all phenomena. Everything exists within a web of interdependence, reliant on a confluence of causes and conditions, and devoid of a permanent, unchanging essence. This notion invites us to perceive reality as a dynamic interplay of interconnectedness, where emptiness becomes a fundamental aspect of existence, signifying potential and interdependence rather than nihilism. Connecting the dirac sea and sunyata, symbolic triads and interrelated influences. In exploring the relationship between the dirac sea, the quantum vacuum, and sunyata, we find a harmonious balance. The dirac sea and the quantum vacuum share an intrinsic link, both depicting a state that appears empty yet is saturated with potential. Sunyata seamlessly integrates into this balance, offering a philosophical parallel, an emptiness rich with interconnected possibilities. This connection demonstrates how both scientific and philosophical concepts of emptiness are filled with latent potential,
highlighting a universal theme of interconnectedness. Examining the causal relationships between these concepts reveals a progression. The existence of negative energy states catalyzes the emergence of antiparticles. This progression mirrors the realization of sunyata. Understanding the absence of intrinsic nature leads to recognizing the interdependent nature of phenomena, culminating in the realization of emptiness. This causal chain underscores how both quantum mechanics and Buddhist philosophy perceive emptiness as a precursor to the manifestation of potential and interdependence. The interplay and mutual reinforcement among these concepts can be articulated through their dynamic relationships. Perceived emptiness and phenomenal existence are not mutually exclusive, but rather mutually reinforcing. Their interplay reveals an underlying fullness, epitomizing the concept of sunyata. The quantum vacuum and particle manifestation engage in a dance that reflects a deeper, interconnected reality. This relationship illustrates how the perceived void in both the dirac sea and sunyata conceals a profound interconnectedness and fullness, enriching our understanding of both the physical and metaphysical worlds. In the silence where truths dare to whisper, a conditional dance, a spectrum, a flicker, where the self emerges, if constraints are shed, or thrives in the absence, where norms do not tread. For an identity true, conditions must align. In the absence of shackles, the authentic can shine. But when societal norms like shadows recede, the self finds a garden where it can seed. With every step taken, in light or in shadow, identity forms where the true paths are narrow. In the harmony of selves, where conditions are met, a coherent identity in silhouette. Under the gaze where public masks align, a coherent self can indeed be designed. But only if the mirror shows no other face can public perception and self truly embrace. Where doppelgangers do not cast their spell, an authentic identity can surely dwell. In the absence of a self that opposes within, a unified identity can begin. When the authentic and the public side by side embark on a journey, wide and wide, a necessary fusion, a conditional blend marks the birth of an identity, whole in the end. But when dissonance reigns and connections are lost, the self finds itself in a tempest, tossed. Disconnection from self, from society's eye, leaves an identity fragmented, adrift to die. Without coherence, the self cannot stand. In the absence of identity, a barren land. Disconnected from both the self and the norm, a fragmented being from its essence torn. In the dance of identity, conditions play their part, guiding the journey of the self, heart to heart. In the symphony of life, where we seek to belong, the harmonization of selves sings the strongest song.
Gurdjieff's philosophy is vast and eclectic, incorporating concepts drawn from Eastern and Western religious traditions, astrology, Gnosticism, and modern science. At the core of his teachings lies the idea of self-observation and self-remembering. He believed that most humans live their lives in a state of hypnotic waking sleep, but through rigorous self-discipline and practice, one can transcend to a higher state of consciousness. Gurdjieff's teachings on the intellectual center underscore the profound interconnectivity and essential sequential development among logical thinking, memory, and analytical abilities. He posited that a true understanding and awakening of our intellectual capacities require a specific progression and interdependence of these faculties, akin to a nonlinear developmental path. In a nonlinear triad, logical thinking directly enhances memory, which in turn uniquely strengthens analytical abilities. This specific sequence underscores a nonlinear causality where the improvement of one capability directly leads to the enhancement of another, rather than all simultaneously. This path reflects Gurdjieff's belief in the potential greatness of human capabilities, which can only be realized through deliberate and structured intellectual engagement. As Gurdjieff articulated, man's possibilities are very great. You cannot even conceive a shadow of what man is capable of attaining. But nothing can be attained in sleep. Conversely, the relationship also holds true in reverse for deficiencies. A lack of logical thinking leads to diminished memory, which weakens analytical abilities. This inverse relationship shows that deficiencies in foundational intellectual skills can lead to a cascading decline in other cognitive areas. This nonlinear interaction among logical thinking, memory, and analytical abilities creates a robust intellectual center where each component not only coexists, but also reinforces and depends on the others in a specific order. Such a framework ensures that enhancing one skill naturally and sequentially bolsters the next, leading to an overall harmonious intellectual development. Thus, the intellectual center, according to Gurdjieff, comprises these three core components in a dynamic and non-linear relationship, where the strength and balance of each component are essential for the optimal functioning and awakening of the intellect. This relationship not only facilitates a deeper understanding, but also fosters a more profound and effective use of one's intellectual capacities, highlighting the transformative power of an awakened intellect. Gurdjieff's teachings about the emotional center reveal the complex and interdependent nature of feelings, moods, and reactions. He posited that our emotional state is not static, but highly dynamic, influenced by an ongoing interplay of various internal elements. As Gurdjieff succinctly noted, man has no permanent and unchangeable I. Every thought, every feeling, every sensation, every desire, every like and dislike is an I. This observation underscores the fluidity of our emotional lives and the necessity of achieving balance among its constituting components. In understanding the emotional center, we must consider how negative moods can profoundly impact feelings, which in turn may trigger adverse reactions. This sequence forms a negative feedback loop where disturbances in one aspect, such as moods, can propagate through the system, leading to a general destabilization of emotional well-being. This feedback mechanism shows how a disruption in one element leads to and reinforces disturbances in another, and so on, creating a cycle that can spiral without intervention. Conversely, the emotional center is also capable of fostering positive cycles. Positive feelings can elevate moods, which in turn can lead to constructive reactions. This positive reinforcement loop enhances emotional well-being, reflecting how each component not only coexists, but actively supports and boosts the others. This dynamic is crucial for balanced emotional development, as Gurdjieff emphasized the importance of harmonizing one's emotions to attain deeper self-awareness and stability. Furthermore, the harmonic relationship within the emotional center illustrates that when feelings and moods are balanced, they lead to healthier reactions. The harmonious interplay between any two of these components supports the development and stability of the third, ensuring a comprehensive and resilient emotional state. By understanding these complex interactions, both negative and positive, within the emotional center, we can appreciate the importance of maintaining each aspect in harmony to promote a healthy, balanced emotional life. This balanced state is not only crucial for emotional resilience, but also essential for the broader goal of self-awareness and personal growth, as Gurdjieff's teachings suggest. Gurdjieff's perspective on the physical, moving center highlights the sophisticated interconnectedness of physical sensation, motor skills, and instincts, essential for achieving bodily awareness and effective movement. He remarked, "The human organism is an extraordinarily complex machine. One part can change and function differently from another part, emphasizing the need for a finely tuned coordination among these components to ensure the body operates both harmoniously and efficiently." In the dynamics of the physical moving center, physical sensation acts as a foundational element that directly influences motor skills. Enhanced physical sensations lead to improved motor skills, which in turn refine instincts. This sequence outlines a reinforcing cycle where each component not only supports but also amplifies the development of the next, enhancing overall physical capabilities. Conversely, a deficit in physical sensation can disrupt this cycle, impeding the development of motor skills and consequently dulling instincts. This negative causal relationship demonstrates how a lack in one area can lead to deficiencies throughout the center, underscoring the necessity of maintaining each component actively and attentively. The harmonious interaction among physical sensations, motor skills, and instincts is crucial for a balanced physical center. When physical sensations and motor skills are well aligned and functioning optimally, they naturally lead to refined instincts. The harmonious interplay between any two of these elements promotes the growth and enhancement of the third, contributing to a comprehensive and balanced physical functioning. By understanding these interdependencies within the physical moving center, we gain insights into the importance of each component in supporting and enhancing the others. This approach not only aligns with Gurdjieff's teachings on the complexity and potential of the human body, but also highlights the practical implications of fostering an integrated and harmonious physical existence. Self-remembering, a pivotal concept in Gurdjieff's teachings, is an intricate practice requiring the unification of awareness, attention, and presence. Gurdjieff emphasized, self-observation brings man to the realization of the necessity of self-change. And in observing himself, a man notices that self-observation itself brings about certain changes in his inner processes. This insight underlines the critical interdependence of awareness, attention, and presence in fostering profound self-awareness and transformative personal development. In the practice of self-remembering, awareness serves as the foundation that heightens attention, which in turn deepens presence. This progression illustrates a conjoined relationship, where enhanced awareness directly improves attention, and together, both significantly amplify the quality of presence. This sequence creates a reinforcing cycle, wherein each component actively supports and elevates the function of the others. Conversely, the absence of one of these elements can disrupt this delicate balance, highlighting the importance of each in maintaining effective self-remembering. The harmonious interaction among awareness, attention, and presence is crucial for achieving a balanced state of self-awareness. When these elements are in equilibrium, they mutually enhance each other, creating a robust framework for personal growth and stability. Through this balanced and reinforcing interplay, an individual can achieve a state of self-remembering that not only enhances personal development, but also leads to a higher level of consciousness and self-realization. This interconnectedness among awareness, attention, and presence reflects Gurdjieff's belief in the potential for profound internal change through deliberate and sustained self-observation and self-awareness. Self-observation, as taught by Gurdjieff, is an essential practice for achieving profound self-awareness and growth. Gurdjieff emphasized the need for a conscious approach to this practice, cautioning against the passive or mechanical engagement with one's inner processes. He stated, "Conscious faith is freedom. Emotional faith is slavery. Mechanical faith is foolishness." This underscores the importance of maintaining objectivity, reflection, and non-judgment in self-observation to avoid the pitfalls of mechanical or emotional entanglements that cloud true understanding. In the context of the bottlenecked scenario, the absence of any one component, objectivity, reflection, or non-judgment, can severely restrict the effectiveness of self-observation. Without objectivity, reflections become biased. Without reflection, insights into one's behaviors and thoughts are shallow. And without non-judgment, the process is colored by prejudice, which further obscures clear understanding. This creates a bottleneck that hampers the flow of self-awareness, trapping the individual in a cycle of limited insight and repeated patterns. The interdependence among these components is crucial for breaking through this bottleneck. Objectivity allows for clear and unbiased reflection. Reflection deepens understanding, which fosters a non-judgmental attitude. And non-judgment opens the door to more honest and objective self-appraisal. As Gurdjieff suggested, the worse the conditions of life, the more productive the work, always provided you remember the work. This implies that challenging internal conditions, when approached with diligent self-observation, can lead to significant personal growth. Thus, the balanced state of self-observation that Gurdjieff advocated for is achieved through the harmonious interplay of objectivity, reflection, and non-judgment. When these elements are aligned and balanced, they not only support but enhance each other, fostering a comprehensive and effective practice of self-awareness. This balanced interaction is vital for overcoming internal bottlenecks and achieving a higher state of consciousness and self-realization. The Law of Three, a foundational principle in Gurdjieff's cosmology, describes the interplay of three essential forces: the active, the passive, and the neutralizing. Gurdjieff stated, "A man must be able to control these three forces and bring them into proper relation. Only then will he be able to know himself and his place in the world." This highlights the importance of mastering the interaction of these forces to comprehend the complexities of existence and attain inner balance. In this triadic structure, the active force initiates or catalyzes action, setting the dynamics in motion. The passive force provides resistance or receptivity, which shapes and molds the direction of the action. The neutralizing force harmonizes and balances the active and passive forces, ensuring that their interaction leads to a productive and sustainable outcome. This triadic relationship is pivotal for understanding the Law of Three, as it demonstrates how each force is essential for the creation and maintenance of balance and harmony in any system. The forces are mutually dependent. Without the active force, there is no initiation of processes. Without the passive force, there is no form or structure to the unfolding action. Without the neutralizing force, there is no resolution or harmonization that allows for new states or conditions to arise. In practical terms, the convergence of these forces can be seen in human endeavors and natural processes, where active forces represent efforts or energies directed toward a goal. Passive forces represent the obstacles or contexts that shape how these efforts manifest. Neutralizing forces represent the insights, adjustments, or mediations that align efforts with reality to achieve a functional outcome. Gurdjieff emphasized that understanding and balancing these forces is crucial for the development of higher states of consciousness. He noted, "Only by finding the right relation between the three forces can one find the truth of a given moment or situation." This implies that the continuous balancing act between these forces is what allows for the evolution of understanding and the achievement of genuine inner harmony. Thus, the Law of Three is not merely a static framework, but a dynamic model that illustrates how interactions and balances between different forces lead to development and transformation. This dynamic balance is essential for comprehending how elements interact within any system, whether in personal growth, social dynamics, or the natural world.
In the heart of the cosmos, where stars dare not gleam, lies a void so profound like a silent dream. An abyss, vast and deep, where time loses its way, a realm of nothing where night swallows the day. Absolute void, unyielding and stark, a canvas empty, devoid of a mark. In this silence profound, where echoes fade, lies the purest of quiet in darkness arrayed. Here in the void where thoughts cease to flow, infinity stretches more than we can know. A vacuum so pure where emptiness reigns, a space untouched, free from life's chains. In the heart of nothing where we find our fears, the void whispers secrets unheard by ears. An endless expanse where mysteries unfold. In the silence of the void, stories untold. In this absolute void, where we're small and fleeting, we find a peace in this vast, unfeeling meeting. A reminder of all, and yet nothing at all. In the embrace of the void, we stand tall. From the heart of silence, a spark ignites, a surge of power, breaking eternal nights. Rising from the void, an energy untamed, a force so vast it cannot be named. Endless energy, wild and free, a cosmic dance for eternity. Unleashing power, boundless and bright, turning the void into a spectacle of light. Like a phoenix rising from ashes of the dark, this energy surges, leaving an indelible mark, a torrent of power in the void's embrace, illuminating cosmos in its fiery grace. In the pulse of the universe where mysteries play, this energy thrives in its own unique way. A boundless force, both creator and destroyer, In its wake, the universe, both prisoner and lawyer. In this dance of energy, wild and untamed, the universe finds rhythm, never to be named. In the heart of chaos, where all paths converge, lies the untamed energy, an endless surge.
Triadic logic provides a comprehensive framework for understanding complex systems through the analysis of relationships between elements. This logic revolves around the interplay and mutual influence among three interconnected components, forming triads. Each triad embodies a distinct type of interaction, offering insights into the dynamics of systems. The various forms of triadic relationships help to explain how elements coexist, reinforce, cause, interdependently affect each other, and more. In triadic logic, the relationships between elements are not isolated but are part of an integrated whole where each element is linked directly or indirectly to the others. This interconnectedness allows for a deeper understanding of how systems function, adapt, and evolve. By examining these relationships, we can gain a better grasp of the underlying principles that govern the behavior of complex systems. Today we examine the affirmed triads in alignment with the 11 laws of the universe in esoteric and mystical philosophy. The coexistence triad explains that all elements in a system are connected to each other. The first relationship establishes that two elements are directly linked and mutually influential. The second relationship demonstrates that the second and third elements also has a separate and mutually influential relationship. Finally, the relationship demonstrates that the initial and the third elements are also directly connected, completing a cohesive network where all elements are interconnected, and any change to one element will have an immediate and direct effect on the other two. The law of divine oneness teaches that everything in the universe is intrinsically connected. This is seen in the triad of connections. Everything is connected, signifying that each element in existence is linked to another, reinforcing the idea of interconnectedness, where each part of the universe influences and is influenced by every other part, culminating in the unity of all things, where the entire universe is a single, unified entity. An example of this interconnectedness is the ecosystem, where plants, animals, and the environment coexist in a delicate balance, demonstrating how each component is essential to the whole. The reinforcement triad shows how interactions between elements support and enhance each other. The first relationship indicates that the first element influences the second. The second relationship shows that the second element, in turn, influences the third. The third relationship completes the cycle, indicating that the third element influences the first, creating a reinforcing loop where each element supports the next in a circular manner. The law of vibration states that everything in the universe is in a constant state of motion and vibrates at its own frequency. This is explained through the triad of vibration. Everything vibrates, where all matter and energy emit a frequency, matching frequencies, where objects of similar frequencies are naturally drawn to each other, and resonance and harmony, where aligned frequencies create a harmonious state. This can be observed in music, where notes of the same frequency harmonize to create a pleasant sound, illustrating how matching vibrations resonate together. The causal triad explains how causality operates in a system. The first relationship shows that a change in the first element causes a change in the second. The second relationship shows that a change in the second element causes a change in the third. The third relationship indicates that the absence of a change in the first element prevents a change in the third, highlighting a cause and effect chain where each step depends on the previous one. The law of correspondence highlights the principle that patterns repeat across different levels of reality. This triad includes the concept as above, so below, where higher planes of existence reflect lower ones, as within, so without, where an individual's inner state mirrors their external environment, and inner reflects outer, where internal changes manifest in the outer world. For instance, the structure of a solar system mirrors that of an atom, demonstrating the correspondence between large and small scales of existence. The nonlinear triad explains indirect relationships in a system. The first relationship indicates that the first element influences the third element directly. The second relationship shows that the third element influences the second element. The third relationship indicates that without a change in the first element, there will be no change in the third, illustrating a nonlinear path where the initial element indirectly influences the second through the third. The law of attraction suggests that like attracts like through the power of thoughts and emotions. This triad is explained as follows. Thoughts attract, where focused thoughts bring corresponding realities into existence. Emotions align, where feelings harmonize with thoughts to strengthen their attracting power and manifestation, where the combination of thoughts and emotions materializes in the physical world. An example is visualizing success and feeling the emotions associated with it, which can attract opportunities that lead to actual success. The inclusive triad explains how combined efforts lead to comprehensive outcomes. The first relationship indicates that the first element influences the second. The second relationship shows that the second element influences the third. The third relationship indicates that the third element is a result of the combined influences of the first and second elements, highlighting an inclusive system where outcomes are the result of multiple interacting factors. The law of inspired action emphasizes the necessity of taking deliberate steps towards achieving goals. This triad involves taking action, where initiating steps leads to progress, aligning actions, where actions are consistent with one's goals and values, and synergistic results, where combined efforts create outcomes greater than individual actions alone. For example, an entrepreneur must not only dream of a successful business, but also take concrete actions like planning, networking, and executing ideas to realize their vision. The conjoined triad explains the interdependence of elements in a system. The first relationship shows that the second element influences both the first and third elements together. The second relationship indicates that the first element influences the second. The third relationship indicates that the third element influences the second, illustrating a system where elements are mutually dependent and influence each other in a conjoined manner. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy states that energy is constantly changing forms and states. This triad includes energy transforms, where energy shifts from one state to another, energy into form, where thoughts and actions convert energy into physical manifestations, and continuous change, where the perpetual nature of energy ensures ongoing transformation. An example is a seed growing into a tree, where potential energy in the seed transforms through growth processes into the physical form of a tree. The harmonic triad explains the mutual influence of elements in a balanced system. The first relationship indicates that the combined influence of the first and second elements affects the third element. The second relationship shows that the combined influence of the first and third elements affects the second element. The third relationship indicates that the combined influence of the second and third elements affects the first element, illustrating a harmonic balance where each pair of elements jointly influences the third. The law of cause and effect asserts that every action has a corresponding reaction. This triad explains that every cause has an effect, where an action leads directly to a result. Every action has a reaction, where each act prompts a reciprocal response, and interdependent effects, where all effects are interconnected and influence each other. For instance, if you plant seeds, cause, they grow into plants, effect, showing the direct relationship between actions and their outcomes. The convergent triad explains how elements collectively contribute to a single outcome. The first relationship indicates that the first element influences both the second and third elements. The second relationship shows that the second element influences both the first and third elements. The third relationship indicates that the third element influences both the first and second elements, illustrating a system where all elements converge to collectively influence each other. The law of compensation indicates that what you give to the world comes back to you. This triad involves receiving what you give, where generosity returns to the giver, balance of energy, where energy input is balanced by the energy received, and rewards and returns, where positive actions lead to positive returns. For example, helping others without expecting anything in return often brings unexpected rewards, reflecting the balanced flow of energy and compensation. The combination triad explains how relative differences create unique outcomes. The first relationship shows that the combination of the first element and the absence of the second element uniquely determines the third element. The second relationship indicates that the combination of the second element and the absence of the third element uniquely determines the first element. The third relationship shows that the combination of the third element and the absence of the first element uniquely determines the second element, illustrating a system where relative differences create unique interactions. The law of relativity teaches that everything is relative and dependent on comparison. This triad includes perspective, where understanding is shaped by viewpoints, comparisons, where the value of something is understood relative to others, and context matters, where meaning and judgment depend on situational context. For instance, a challenge may seem daunting until compared to a greater hardship, highlighting how perspective and comparison shape our understanding of experiences. The association triad explains how pairs of elements define and balance each other. The first relationship shows that the second element and the absence of the first element uniquely influence the third element. The second relationship indicates that the second element and the absence of the third element uniquely influence the first element. The third relationship shows that the combination of the first and third elements influences the second element, illustrating a system where the association between pairs of elements defines their interactions. The law of polarity asserts that everything has an opposite, and these opposites are necessary for balance and understanding. This triad includes duality, where opposites coexist and define each other, opposites, where every element has a counter-element, and balance, where equilibrium is achieved through the interplay of these opposites. An example is the concept of light and dark. Without darkness, light would not be understood or appreciated, demonstrating the necessity of opposites for balance and comprehension. The integration triad explains how elements operate within cycles and patterns. The first relationship shows that a change in the first element influencing the second element is dependent on the presence of the third element. The second relationship indicates that a change in the third element influencing the second element is dependent on the presence of the first element. The third relationship shows that the combination of the first and third elements influences the second element, illustrating a system where the integration of elements creates cyclical and patterned interactions. The law of rhythm suggests that everything operates in cycles and patterns. This triad involves cycles and patterns, where natural rhythms govern the flow of life, natural flow, where life progresses through predictable stages, and rhythmic balance, where understanding and aligning with these rhythms brings harmony. For example, the changing seasons illustrate the cyclical nature of life, where recognizing and adapting to these patterns can lead to a more balanced and harmonious existence. The universe operates as an intricately interconnected and dynamic system, where each part influences and is influenced by the others, demonstrating the law of divine oneness. This intrinsic connection is the foundation upon which the other laws manifest and interact. Everything in the universe vibrates at specific frequencies, aligning with the law of vibration. These vibrations create resonance and harmony, drawing similar frequencies together and establishing a state of equilibrium that can be observed in various phenomena, from musical notes harmonizing to the alignment of compatible energies in relationships. Repeating patterns across different levels of reality embody the law of correspondence. This law highlights that what occurs on a larger scale mirrors the smaller scales, reinforcing the principle that internal states reflect external realities and vice versa. This correspondence is evident in the similarities between atomic structures and solar systems, emphasizing the fractal nature of existence. The law of attraction states that thoughts and emotions have the power to attract corresponding realities. Focused thoughts and aligned emotions can manifest desired outcomes, demonstrating how our inner world influences our external experiences. Visualization and emotional alignment are key to this process, highlighting the non-linear nature of manifestation. Taking deliberate steps toward goals, as outlined in the law of inspired action, bridges the gap between intention and reality. Actions aligned with one's values and goals create synergistic results, where the collective effort surpasses individual contributions, emphasizing the necessity of proactive engagement in achieving success. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy explains that energy is in a constant state of flux, transforming from one form to another. This continuous change ensures that potential energy is always being converted into physical manifestations, as seen in natural growth processes like a seed transforming into a tree. Every action has a corresponding reaction, encapsulated in the law of cause and effect. This principle asserts that actions inevitably lead to results, forming a direct and reciprocal relationship. Understanding this law helps in recognizing the impact of our choices and the interconnected web of causality in the universe. The law of compensation emphasizes that the energy we put into the world returns to us. Generosity and positive actions bring about balanced returns, reinforcing the idea of a balanced flow of energy where giving and receiving are intrinsically linked. The law of relativity teaches that our understanding of experiences and values is shaped by comparison and context. Recognizing the relativity of challenges and situations helps in gaining perspective and appreciating the varying degrees of experiences. The law of polarity asserts that everything has an opposite, and these opposites are necessary for balance and comprehension. Light and dark, good and bad, hot and cold, these dualities define and balance each other, highlighting the importance of understanding and embracing opposites. Finally, the law of rhythm suggests that everything operates in cycles and patterns. Life's natural rhythms, such as seasons, biological cycles, and societal trends, dictate the flow of existence. Aligning with these rhythms brings harmony and balance, emphasizing the cyclical nature of all phenomena. In essence, these universal laws collectively illustrate a cosmos characterized by interconnectedness, dynamic motion, harmonious resonance, corresponding patterns, attractive forces, proactive action, continuous transformation, reciprocal causality, balanced compensation, contextual relativity, dualistic balance, and rhythmic cycles. Understanding and integrating these principles allows for a more profound comprehension of the universe's intricate and harmonious operations.
In the mind's vast domain, where thoughts intertwine, memories and emotions in a dance divine, each node a beacon in the darkness shines, connecting, reflecting, the self defines. In the silence of the mind, where nodes fade away, gaps in memory and thought, where light does not play, absence shapes our being in a subtle sway. In the spaces between, our truths lay. Through the hyper edges, our essence flows, linking thoughts and dreams as consciousness grows. In this network vast, our spirit shows a tapestry woven in endless rows, where the links break apart and the mind feels alone, fragments of consciousness once brightly shone. Yet in this disconnection, our strength is honed. From broken hyper edges, new paths are grown. Ever-changing rivers of thought and feel, flowing through the hypergraph, ever real. Unpredictable, yet with a patterned seal, in this complexity our truths reveal. In a realm unchanging where thoughts do not flow, emotions frozen in time, no growth to show. But in the challenge of change we come to know the value of movement in life's glow. Beyond the linear and dimensions deep, our consciousness in a hypergraph leap. In every connection, secrets we keep. In this vast network, our souls peep. In the void and the silence, wisdom takes seed. In broken connections, we find what we need. The absence and negation, a powerful creed. From the spaces in between, our spirits freed. In the hypergraph of mind, we find our place. Interconnected nodes in time's embrace. Consciousness unfolds in its complex grace. In this web of life, our hearts trace. In the shadow of thought, in the gaps of the mind, in the broken links, a deeper truth we find. Embracing the negations, to them we're not blind, in the intricate web of consciousness entwined.
Hofstadter's work often delves into the nature of consciousness, self-reference, and the complexity of human cognition. A Strange Loop, another of his seminal works, investigates the paradoxical nature of self-awareness and the intricate loops that constitute the human sense of self. Today we examine the interrelationships between concepts such as self, consciousness, and identity, as Hofstadter explained in A Strange Loop, providing profound insights into the architecture of the mind. Coexistence. The concepts of self, consciousness, and identity are central to our understanding of what it means to be human. The self is our sense of being an individual, distinct from others and the environment. Consciousness refers to our awareness of ourselves and our surroundings, encompassing our thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Identity is the way we define ourselves, including our beliefs, values, and experiences. Together, these concepts create a cohesive understanding of our existence. In A Strange Loop, Douglas Hofstadter illustrates how the self, consciousness, and identity are deeply interlinked and mutually defining. The self emerges as a property of consciousness, continuously shaped by self-perception and identity. Hofstadter posits that, in the end, we self-perceiving, self-inventing, locked-in mirages are little miracles of self-reference. This demonstrates that self, consciousness, and identity coexist in a dynamic interplay where each element sustains the others. This triad encourages reflection on how their identity and sense of self are products of their conscious experiences and vice versa, fostering a deeper appreciation of the intricate construction of their reality. Equilibrium. Unconscious processes, non-self and non-identity refer to aspects of the mind that operate without conscious awareness. Unconscious processes are mental activities that occur without our awareness, influencing our thoughts and behaviors. Non-self refers to the absence of a distinct individual identity, a state where self-awareness is not present. Non-identity is the lack of a defined sense of self, where personal attributes and characteristics do not coalesce into a unified identity. These concepts highlight a different mode of mental operation. In the absence of self, consciousness, and identity, unconscious processes operate in a balanced state without the complexity of self-referential loops. Hofstadter explains that the unconscious mind is not a blank slate, but a complex machine operating without the self-referential feedback that gives rise to identity. This equilibrium reflects a state where the defining features of self and identity are absent, allowing unconscious processes to dominate and maintain harmony. Understanding this can help recognize the role of unconscious processes in daily life and their contribution to mental balance when not influenced by conscious identity. Reinforcement. Symbol systems, self-perception, and looping structure are key to understanding how we construct our sense of self. Symbol systems include language, numbers, and other forms of representation that allow us to communicate and think abstractly. Self-perception is our awareness and understanding of ourselves, shaped by our experiences and reflections. A looping structure refers to the recursive nature of thought processes, where outputs of one process become inputs for another, creating a feedback loop that reinforces self-awareness. Symbol systems such as language and thought patterns create self-perception, reinforcing the looping structures that enable self-reference and generate more symbols. Hofstadter notes, our thoughts are composed of symbols, and our consciousness is a dance of these symbols within the brain's loops. This recursive process underpins self-awareness and continuous symbol generation. Recognizing the significance of self-referential thoughts and how they reinforce self-perception can enhance intentional self-awareness and personal growth. Feedback. The absence of self-reference, lack of self-awareness, and absence of self-symbols describe a state where the mind does not engage in self-reflective processes. Without self-reference, there is no mechanism for the mind to turn inward and recognize itself. A lack of self-awareness means there is no conscious acknowledgement of one's thoughts and feelings. The absence of self-symbols indicates that the mind does not generate the internal representations necessary for self-recognition, resulting in a feedback loop that perpetuates the state. Without self-reference, self-awareness cannot develop, leading to the absence of self-symbols. This lack creates a feedback loop perpetuating the absence of self-reference. Hofstadter states, without the reflective loop there is no I to speak of, no awareness to anchor the symbols that define us. This insight helps identify moments of diminished self-awareness and understand the importance of self-referential loops in maintaining a sense of self, encouraging practices that break this feedback loop of absence. Causation. Neuronal activity, symbol creation, and the emergence of I are foundational to understanding how the brain produces consciousness. Neuronal activity refers to the electrical and chemical processes in the brain's neurons. Symbol creation involves generating mental representations that carry meaning, such as words and images. The emergence of I is the process by which these neuronal activities and symbols coalesce into a coherent sense of self, giving rise to personal identity and conscious experience. Neuronal activity causes the creation of symbols, leading to the emergence of the I. Hofstadter explains, the I emerges from a symphony of neurons firing in harmony, creating the symbols that tell the story of our consciousness. This causal relationship illustrates how the interplay of neurons results in the phenomenon of self. Appreciating this complex causal chain underscores the importance of brain health and cognitive function in forming their sense of self and conscious experience. Reversion. The lack of symbol processing, no emergence of self, and basic neuronal activity describe a state where the brain functions at a fundamental level without higher cognitive processes. Without symbol processing, the brain cannot generate the meaningful representations necessary for thought. This prevents the emergence of self, where a coherent identity and consciousness do not form. Basic neuronal activity refers to the simple, essential operations of neurons without the complexity required for consciousness. Without symbol processing, the self does not emerge, and the system reverts to basic neuronal activity, lacking the complexity needed to generate consciousness. Hofstadter asserts, in the absence of symbol processing, the brain's activity remains rudimentary, devoid of the emergent self that defines conscious experience. Understanding this helps appreciate the essential role of cognitive processes in forming their identity and recognize the impact of disruptions on their sense of self. Nonlinear. Feedback loops, consciousness, and higher-order symbols are critical to understanding the complexity of thought processes. Feedback loops involve recursive processes where outputs are fed back as inputs, creating dynamic systems. Consciousness is the awareness of oneself and the environment, characterized by thoughts, perceptions, and feelings. Higher-order symbols are abstract representations that facilitate complex thinking, such as language and mathematics, which emerge from and contribute to conscious experience. Consciousness arises from complex, non-linear feedback loops that create higher-order symbols. Hofstadter describes this process, stating, "Consciousness arises from a non-linear web of feedback loops, each contributing to the higher-order symbols that make up our thoughts." These interactions are not straightforward but generate the dynamic nature of conscious thought. This triad encourages reflection on the non-linear nature of thoughts and experiences, recognizing the complexity and richness of their conscious mind. Retrospective. Non-conscious systems, simple feedback loops, and basic symbol recognition describe processes that occur without conscious awareness. Non-conscious systems operate without self-awareness, performing tasks automatically. Simple feedback loops involve basic, straightforward processes where outputs are directly fed back as inputs. Basic symbol recognition refers to the ability to identify and respond to simple patterns or signals without engaging in complex, reflective thought. Non-conscious systems operate using simple feedback loops that enable basic symbol recognition without generating complex consciousness. Hofstadter explains, basic symbol recognition in non-conscious systems operates through straightforward feedback loops, without the recursive depth of self-aware thought. This understanding helps differentiate between basic pattern recognition and higher-order conscious processing, appreciating the sophistication of human consciousness. Inclusive. Self-referential symbols, conscious thought, and emergent identity are integral to understanding how the self develops. Self-referential symbols are representations that refer to themselves, creating a loop of self-awareness. Conscious thought encompasses the aware and deliberate processing of information. Emergent identity refers to the development of a coherent sense of self through the interaction of these self-referential processes and conscious thoughts. Self-referential symbols are crucial for conscious thought and the emergence of identity. Hofstadter's theory suggests that self-referential symbols are the building blocks of our thoughts, fostering an emergent identity that is perpetually redefined through consciousness. This system continuously supports all these aspects in a reinforcing cycle. This triad emphasizes the importance of self-referential thinking in nurturing self-awareness and identity, encouraging engagement in reflective practices. Exclusive. The absence of conscious thought, lack of self-reference, and no emergent identity describe a state where higher cognitive processes do not occur. Without conscious thought, there is no deliberate awareness or processing of information. A lack of self-reference means the mind does not reflect upon itself. This absence prevents the formation of an emergent identity where a cohesive sense of self does not develop. Without conscious thought, there is no self-reference, leading to no emergent identity. Hofstadter explains that when conscious thought is absent, the loop of self-reference breaks, leaving no room for an emergent identity to form. This exclusive relationship highlights the necessity of these elements for identity. Recognizing this helps understand the importance of conscious reflection in forming and maintaining identity. Conjoined. The concepts of self, mind, and symbols are intertwined in creating a cohesive sense of being. The self is our sense of individual identity and personal experience. The mind encompasses the cognitive processes that enable thought, perception, and understanding. Symbols are representations that carry meaning, such as words, images, and sounds. Together, these elements form an interconnected system that underlies our conscious experience. The mind's symbols together create the self, with each component relying on and reinforcing the others. Hofstadter states, the mind's symbols are the threads that weave the fabric of the self, each interdependent and reinforcing the tapestry of consciousness. This interconnectedness forms a cohesive system where the mind, symbols, and self are inextricably linked. This triad encourages seeing themselves as an integrated whole, where thoughts, symbols, and self-perception work together to create conscious experience. Bottlenecked. The absence of symbols, no mind and no self, describe a state where cognitive processes do not occur. Without symbols, there are no representations to convey meaning. This absence prevents the formation of the mind, which relies on symbolic processing to function. Consequently, the self cannot emerge as there are no cognitive processes to support self-awareness and identity. Without symbols, there can be no mind and hence no self. Hofstadter notes, in the absence of symbols, the mind cannot form, and the self remains an unrealized potential trapped in a bottleneck of non-emergence. This lack of symbolic processing creates a bottleneck, preventing the emergence of the mind and self. Understanding this helps appreciate the role of symbolic thought in maintaining a healthy mind and self, emphasizing the need for rich symbolic and cognitive engagement. Harmonic. The concepts of mind, symbols, and feedback loops are crucial for understanding the harmonious nature of thought. The mind encompasses cognitive processes and the ability to think and perceive. Symbols are representations that carry meaning, facilitating communication and thought. Feedback loops involve recursive processes where outputs are fed back as inputs, creating dynamic systems. Together, these elements create a balanced and coherent experience of consciousness. The mind and symbols create feedback loops, leading to a harmonic system where each element supports the other in dynamic balance. Hofstadter describes this harmony. Our minds are harmonies of symbols and feedback loops, each playing a part in the symphony of consciousness. This balance is essential for the coherent experience of consciousness. This analogy helps understand the importance of balance and harmony in thoughts and self-perception, fostering a more integrated and harmonious sense of self. Dissonant. Disruption in feedback loops, no cohesive symbols, and a fragmented mind describe a state where cognitive processes are disorganized. Feedback loops are essential for maintaining dynamic balance, and their disruption leads to chaos. Without cohesive symbols, there is no meaningful representation of thoughts. This disorganization results in a fragmented mind, where cognitive processes do not integrate into a coherent experience. Disruption in feedback loops prevents the creation of cohesive symbols, resulting in a fragmented mind. Hofstadter explains, when feedback loops are disrupted, the mind's symbols lose their coherence, resulting in a fragmented and dissonant consciousness. This dissonance disrupts the integrated experience of consciousness. Recognizing this helps identify factors that disrupt cognitive feedback loops, striving to maintain mental coherence and reduce fragmentation. Convergent. Neurons, the mind, and symbols are fundamental components that converge to create consciousness. Neurons are the brain cells that transmit information through electrical and chemical signals. The mind encompasses cognitive processes and the ability to think and perceive. Symbols are representations that convey meaning. Together, these elements interact and support each other, leading to the emergence of conscious experience. Neurons, the mind, and symbols converge to create consciousness. Hofstadter states, consciousness is the convergence of neurons, mind, and symbols, each interlocking to form the essence of our awareness. Each element supports and contributes to the others, leading to an integrated experience of being. This triad encourages recognition of the interconnectedness of neural, cognitive, and symbolic processes in creating conscious experience. Divergent. No neural coherence, fragmented symbols, and a disjointed mind describe a state where cognitive processes are not integrated. Neural coherence refers to the synchronization of neuronal activity, which is necessary for coordinated thought. Without it, symbols become fragmented, lacking consistent meaning. This fragmentation leads to a disjointed mind, where cognitive processes do not align to create a unified consciousness. Without neural coherence, symbols become fragmented, and the mind remains disjointed. Hofstadter explains, A lack of neural coherence leads to fragmented symbols, leaving the mind disjointed and preventing the emergence of a unified self. This divergence prevents the emergence of a unified consciousness. Understanding this helps work towards achieving neural coherence and symbolic integration for a more unified and stable sense of self. Combination. Self-awareness, symbol manipulation, and recursive loops are essential for understanding the complexity of thought. Self-awareness is the conscious recognition of one's own existence and thought processes. Symbol manipulation involves using and transforming symbols to convey meaning and solve problems. Recursive loops are processes where outputs are fed back as inputs, creating self-reinforcing systems. Together, these elements create a sophisticated and dynamic consciousness. Self-awareness and symbol manipulation interact in recursive loops, creating a complex system where each component is crucial yet distinct. Hofstadter states, self-awareness arises from the manipulation of symbols within recursive loops, each layer adding complexity to the system of consciousness. This interaction forms the foundation of consciousness. Appreciating the complexity of their self-awareness and engaging in reflective practices can enhance understanding and manipulation of symbols. Division. The lack of self-awareness, no recursive loops, and simple symbol use describe a state where cognitive processes are basic and unreflective. Without self-awareness, there is no conscious recognition of one's own existence and thoughts. The absence of recursive loops prevents the creation of self-reinforcing systems. This limitation leads to simple symbol use, where symbols are employed in straightforward, non-complex ways. The absence of self-awareness and recursive loops leads to simple symbol use without complex consciousness. Hofstadter notes, without recursive loops and self-awareness, the mind resorts to simple symbol use, devoid of the complexity that defines higher consciousness. This division prevents the emergence of higher-order thought. Recognizing this highlights the importance of self-awareness in achieving higher-order cognitive processes and a more sophisticated understanding of the self. Association. Cognitive processes, symbol integration, and emergent identity are key to understanding the formation of the self. Cognitive processes include all mental activities related to thinking, knowing, and remembering. Symbol integration involves combining different symbols to create meaningful representations. Emergent identity refers to the development of a coherent sense of self through the interaction of cognitive processes and integrated symbols. Cognitive processes and symbol integration lead to an emergent identity, with each process reinforcing the others. Hofstadter suggests, our identity emerges from the association of cognitive processes and symbol integration, each reinforcing the other in a dance of self-realization. This association creates a cohesive sense of self. Focusing on enhancing cognitive processes and symbol integration can help cultivate a stronger and more cohesive identity. Disassociation. The lack of cognitive integration, fragmented symbols, and no emergent self describe a state where the mind does not function cohesively. Without cognitive integration, mental processes do not combine to create meaningful thoughts. Fragmented symbols lack coherent meaning, disrupting thought processes. This disorganization prevents the emergence of a cohesive self, where identity does not form effectively. Without cognitive integration, symbols remain fragmented, preventing the emergence of a cohesive self. Hofstadter explains, in the absence of cognitive integration, symbols fragment, and the self fails to emerge, lost in the disassociation of thought. This disassociation disrupts the formation of identity. Understanding this helps recognize and address disruptions in cognitive processes to maintain a coherent sense of identity. Integration. Neuronal networks, symbolic thought, and conscious identity are essential components of self-awareness. Neuronal networks refer to the interconnected neurons in the brain that facilitate communication and processing. Symbolic thought involves using symbols to represent ideas and concepts. Conscious identity is the awareness of oneself as a distinct individual, formed through the integration of neuronal activity and symbolic thought. Neuronal networks and symbolic thought integrate to form a conscious identity. Hofstadter states, the integration of neuronal networks and symbolic thought creates our conscious identity, each element indispensable to the other's existence. This integration is the cornerstone of self-awareness. This triad emphasizes the importance of integrated neuronal and symbolic processes in maintaining a conscious identity, encouraging them to nurture these aspects for a cohesive self. Disintegration. Disrupted neuronal activity, no symbolic thought, and fragmented identity describe a state where the mind fails to function cohesively. Disrupted neuronal activity prevents effective communication between neurons. Without symbolic thought, there are no meaningful representations of ideas. This disorganization leads to a fragmented identity, where the sense of self is not cohesive or stable. Disrupted neuronal activity prevents symbolic thought, leading to a fragmented identity and the disintegration of consciousness. Hofstadter explains, disrupted neuronal activity halts symbolic thought, resulting in a fragmented identity and the disintegration of consciousness itself. This breakdown underscores the fragility of the self. Understanding this highlights the need to maintain healthy neuronal activity and symbolic thought to preserve a unified and stable identity.
In the hidden corridors of the mind I roam, a misfolded wanderer far from home. Once a part of harmony, now I disassemble. In the brain's tapestry I am a symbol, a tremble. A pivot in the molecular dance I sway, altering the normal, leading astray. In this game of balance I play a part, disrupting the equilibrium of the heart. Through the neural pathways I travel unseen, a catalyst of change, subtle yet keen. In the fabric of thought I weave a new seam, reflecting the complexity of life's stream. In the symphony of the mind my tune resounds, a dissonant chord in the cerebral bounds. Yet in this discord a reflection is found, of nature's vast mysteries profound. I am the unexpected, the unbidden guest. In the neural feast, I am not like the rest. A reminder of life's unpredictable quest. In the cycle of creation, I am a test. Through this journey, a deeper truth to seek. In the landscape of the mind, I am unique. A force of nature, both strong and weak. In the dance of existence, a mystique. In these verses, I narrate my tale of life's intricate balance in detail. In the grand design, I am both sail and gale, a part of the whole in life's scale. In the silent whispers of the neural sea, I glide, a rogue wave, an anomaly. Once part of the whole, now lost in reverie, in the brain's labyrinth, I wander free. A twist, a fold in the dance of the proteins, I, a wayward prion, unseen, unforeseen, transforming the normal to the unforeseen. In the molecular realm I reign unseen. Through synaptic forests I journey alone, my presence subtle, my purpose unknown. In this neural night my influence has grown, a shadow in the mind quietly sown. Whispers of chaos in the cerebral breeze, a subtle shift, a sinister tease. Once harmony reigned, now it flees. In this inner world I bring a disease. A cascade begins, a relentless tide, as I, the prion, covertly reside. Neurons falter, their fates collide. In this silent storm I am both guide and tide. In the depths of thought a dissonance rings, as I weave my way through the mind strings. A symphony of discord as each note stings. In this cognitive disarray my nature clings. Yet in this chaos, a reflection I find of nature's complexity entwined and aligned. In the grand tapestry am I designed, a question in the vastness of the mind. Through this journey, a truth I impart. In the realm of the brain, I play my part. A force of nature, both whole and apart. In the dance of life, a mysterious art.